What's up, everybody? How you doing out there? In this video, I'm going to be making what I call $75 lasagna. Now, why do I call it $75 lasagna? Because I decided I'm going to make the best lasagna I can, and I was going to end up buying the best ingredients and all that other stuff. And by the time everything was said and done, it was almost $75. Okay, so this is expensive lasagna here. We're going to start off with the sauce, and the sauce we have to cook for a long time. Okay, I couldn't find any fresh basil, so I ended up having to get one of these plants, which is fine because I'm going to just put it out in the garden. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut up an onion. So we don't want too big of pieces of onion, but the way we're going to cook this sauce, these guys are going to end up cooking down anyway. Ooh, man, those onions. Same thing, the garlic we need to go ahead and dice up pretty small. We don't want anything too large, but this is going to end up kind of falling apart too by the time that we're cooking it. Half a pound of ground pork, half a pound of ground beef. Okay, and this is Italian sausage right here, and I got the mild. Generally I like using hot, but some of the people that's going to be having this don't really like hot, so we're just going to end up using the mild. I usually will slit down the side of it and then take out the filling. There's no reason to keep the casing. Now I've got this on medium, and the reason why I have this on medium is because I want some of this fat to render out, because you'll notice I didn't add any olive oil or anything to it. Okay, so when I'm about ready to add, you're going to go, huh? Why don't you do that? Well, I'll explain it in a minute. But this is just regular flour. And I only added maybe a teaspoon and a half, maybe a tablespoon tops. Now the reason why I add that is because this is going to mix with the fat that's coming from the meat. And it's going to make a roux, okay? And so when we start adding liquid to this, that flour is going to absorb it, and it's going to turn it kind of into a gravy. And then so when we put this into the lasagna, when we cut the lasagna later on, the filling's not going to want to leak out of it. I'm going to take this and push a little bit to the side. I'm going to throw my onions and garlic in. And while I can actually see with the onion here, I'm going to add some black pepper to this. If you want to throw some red chili flakes in here, you can. But once again, the sausage, the mild sausage or the hot sausage, should also have that in there. Let's give it a shot. Yeah, things are sticking to the bottom, which is a good sign. One thing that we have not done yet is add salt. So I'm going to add just a little bit, and then after we add our sauce, we'll add some more salt. So I've been cooking this now for about 15 minutes after it's already been cooked all the way through, and I've gathered some stuff on the bottom. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of Pinot Noir. The one I'm going to be using is this guy right here. Maybe a little bit more. So at this point I can go ahead and I can start adding my liquid. And this is the best, this brand right here. Once again, opinion based, but this is great. I'm also going to end up putting whole tomatoes that I squish up. What I generally will do is I will pour the sauce out kind of like this, and then squeeze the tomatoes within the can, because if you try to squeeze them outside of the can, boy, you're going to get so much tomato all over you, it's not even funny. Now generally speaking, you don't usually use oregano in something like this. Oregano is good for like pizza sauce, but I usually like putting just a little bit of oregano in my sauces. So we're going to put a little bit of dried oregano in here. I don't want to go over the top with it though. So here's some dry basil. Okay. So we got some chiffonaded. Well, I don't know if you could say chiffonaded, but you roll up the basil and you slice it. I'm going to put a little bit more black pepper. Now we have put a lot of tomato in there, right? So we have to think about the salt. This is Himalayan sea salt. I'm going to put that there. I'm going to take my lid and put it on. And I'm going to give this about 15-20 minutes, and I'm going to come over and taste it for seasoning. And then after that, this is going to be on the lowest setting for probably about 2 to 3 hours at least. At least 2 to 3 hours. If it starts running low on liquid, you can add water to it. Or if you want to even add more flavor, you can put beef broth or beef stock in it, because this is going to end up being a meat sauce. Okay, so it's been about 15 minutes. And what we have to do is we have to taste it to see what we need to put inside here to really, this thing's like bubbling kind of high. I'm going to turn this off just temporarily so I'm not getting hit with a bunch of bubbles. But we need to taste it. We need to taste this here to see what we need to add to it. So let me push this to the side. I'm actually tasting a couple of things that we need. And I am going to be adding a little bit of beef broth to this. That's going to increase the meat flavor. Also give us a little bit more liquid. The salt seems about right. I don't want to mess with that yet. But the pepper, it tastes like it wouldn't hurt to have a little bit more pepper in it. So the sauce has been simmering for at least 6 to 8 hours all total. And I'm going to end up making these in individual like little containers, so that way I can kind of hand it out to different people. So these are just made out of, this is just the bread, the type that you get for making a loaf of bread. Because of the amount of ricotta that's going in this, I'm going to use 2 eggs, black pepper. While all of this is going on, I'm heating up the oven to 375 degrees. This is dried parsley. This is dried parsley right here. We're going to throw a decent amount of that in here. This is a little bit of garlic powder. This is the dried Parmesan that everybody says avoid. I'm just going to be like 2 capfuls, which is probably really close to about a half a cup. Now you're going to see why I used a big mixing bowl, because this gets messy. Let's take this and move it out of the way. So you don't have to cook lasagna noodles as long as you have enough sauce. This is how the meat sauce has turned out. What we're going to do is we want to put a scoopful, a layer in on the bottom. And we're going to end up putting our noodles in here. Stir up the sauce a little bit, so that way we get a little bit of meat and all that. Put another layer. The moisture from that is going to be cooking the noodles. Now we have to end up putting some of the ricotta mixture here. Same thing. Layer of meat sauce again. Oven is ready. Another thing of cheese. Okay, same. This is going to be the last piece. Another coat of meat sauce. Mozzarella. And right here I have shaved Parmesan. And this is going to go into the oven, 375 for about 45 minutes. But the lasagna has been inside the oven for about 45 minutes to about 50 minutes, and it's done. But anyway, guys, that is that. I'm going to let this cool for about 15 minutes, and then this should solidify pretty well, where if we cut it, it'll come out more like a cake. instead of just like falling all over the place, you know, with a lot of times it's too runny. And you might end up saying, oh, look, the top is burnt. No, it's caramelized cheese. And I'm going to tell you, I am a big believer in caramelized cheese, okay, because it adds so much flavor. But look at that. That is the $75 lasagna. And if you don't want the caramelized cheese, just take it out maybe about 10 minutes prior, and it won't have that darkness on it. But trust me, it's not burnt, guys. Anyway, if you like this video, make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe, all the other good stuff. And until next time, talk to you later.